Alright.
All right, three, two, one. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Boys from the Guild podcast. I'm here with some really cool people. We've got Kyle,
Hello.
got Mark,
I'm not cool. I'm just getting that out there right now.
and of course, B.
Hello.
Now, this is a very brand new podcast that we started doing. Mark, B, and myself used to run another podcast for the Prestige Gamers website. So we decided to kind of get a new group together, one that's a little more, a little less chaotic, I would like to say. So why don't we start off with what we've all been playing recently?
I mean, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14.
Yes, we have.
I've also been playing Final Fantasy 14 and Final Fantasy 15 because I'm just all about the variety.
I've been playing Horizon and I platinumed it. Yay.
Oh, I've been
What's
wanting to
up
play
in
that,
your
actually. Horizon Zero Dawn. How is Horizon Zero Dawn?
It's very good.
I want to get
Oh.
it, but I've got such a long backlist I can't justify getting it at the moment. I'll get there eventually.
And while I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV with Kyle, I've also been playing Elder Scrolls Online because I am horrible MMO trash.
You have some opinions on those two as well.
I have a lot of opinions on them, actually.
Oh, I will talk FF14 all day.
Yeah, but you're probably
I'm
going to be a
fine.
lot more positive than I am.
I've been playing Star Trek Online, which is free. So, yeah.
I'm just going to preempt all criticism first by saying that most of it is probably because you suck.
Nope, I'm actually pretty good at it. But nice try.
I still prefer my version.
Of course you do. All right, well, why don't we get into our first topic, which is one I've actually been waiting for us to get this started so we could get into, just because I know how well it's going to go. Nier Automata is the sequel to the game Nier, which is also a sequel to Drakengard, but that's neither here nor there. As it turns out, if you beat the game 3 times, you unlock the ability to buy trophies instead of unlocking them normally. And I figured, of all the people, Mark would have quite a lot to say about this.
You might just be right there.
So why don't you take this and head it on out?
Okay,
This is
so
the rest of the
I've,
podcast, guys.
No, great.
yeah, this will be it now. Yeah, I do consider myself a trophy hunter, and I've always figured we've kind of been split into two camps. There's mine, which is we play we collect them for the prestige, we try hard, we get the rare ones, that kind of thing. The camp who just want to get as many as they can. We play the easy shit games just to pad the stats, and that's very much the camp that's going to be interested in this sort of thing. And suffice to say, there's some bitter rivalry there. They can all go fuck themselves. Just saying, just saying. But, so I mean, we already started off with people getting easy plats by playing dog shit easy games, or possibly getting multiple versions of the same game which had separate trophy lists just to pad out further.
Wait,
Then
really?
you've got people, yeah, seriously.
I've heard about that. Is it like the language version or something? I think...
Yeah. Like, okay, so for example, I've got the North American version of Demon Souls because I had to import it when it was released. If I
You're
got
welcome.
the Asian version, listen, you told me about that.
Yeah, remember my review of it's what got all you guys into it.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
It was
I was the one that
Don't get me wrong.
Rivalry.
I totally told you all about Demon Souls when it first came out, and that's what got you
No, you
guys
didn't.
into it.
I specifically remember. Do you remember Thrusty from the forums?
Vaguely.
Yeah, she got me into it.
I like my
But
version
anyway,
better.
that's neither here nor there. Yeah, if I got the Asian version, that would be a completely separate trophy list, and similarly, if I got the European version, that would have its own trophy list because, I mean, they are distinctly different versions, but I think other games do the same thing regardless of the server situation. But yeah, so people get the platinum for the same game 3 times on occasion. And you've also got people getting platinums with exploits, that kind of thing, and even share play now. People have trophies earned for them by other people via share play. So
Oh
essentially, it's
man,
become easier and
Wait,
easier over time to pad your trophy list and earn difficult trophies,
I
which
didn't know
annoys
that.
me within itself. Yeah, and this you can now purchase trophies just enrages me. Now, I've always been of the opinion that you should earn trophies. There's no two ways about it. They are there to be earned. That's the whole point for their existence. And just buying them completely reduces any sort of prestige they may have otherwise had.
I
I
actually
mean,
do agree with all that.
if I mean, I don't know how hard the Nier Platinum actually is. I've not looked into it. Let's assume that it's 9 out of 10 difficulty Platinum, right?
Mm.
If I, played that for however many hours, put in all the effort and learn everything I had to earn it legit, I couldn't really be proud of that as such because other people will get the exact same outcome just by buying it with in-game gold. You look at my trophy list, you look at theirs. There's no difference ultimately. Someone looking in and say, "Oh, you probably just bought it as well." That it actively reduces the value of people who earned it through hard work by just making it so easy to unlock. And issues in the
Whoa,
past with
Jesus,
what did something happen?
that was like a huge audio burst.
Oh,
Uh, if that's me, I apologise. But anyway, yeah, like it's not the first time there's been a trophy that's had essentially completely different unlock requirements for different people. So,
Mm.
do you all remember 3D Dot Game Heroes?
Yeah, that was a pretty awesome game.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. There was a trophy for finishing this dash course, which was notoriously difficult. It was
I
an
I
absolute
remember
pain
that
in the
one.
ass.
It was that
Yeah,
that third. It was a third one, and the curves were like really difficult.
yeah, it was real difficult. But see, here's the thing. Now it's in North America, the game got patched to make the trophy easier. The time restrictions were made a lot more lenient, so it's a lot easier to platinum that game if you're in North America. Whereas we poor Europeans just had to, grit our teeth and get on with it. So we earned a trophy that was far more difficult to get, but it is the same trophy as the American version, which is far easier to get. So it's not the exact same sort of thing, but you can see where I'm coming from. I hope.
yeah, I think
Sort of.
I think I get what you mean.
Yeah, and I
I've
understand.
actually got the store open right now just to look at it of like where you can buy the trophies in Nier Automata.
Yeah.
And yeah, this it does seem it does seem pretty dumb to me that you can actually just buy them. But like I love Nier Automata. It's just a great game. At the same time, like one of the things that really stands out about Nier Automata, this isn't a great argument or anything, but it is just that it breaks conventions in every possible way. Number one, the reason you have to beat the game 3 times is because in order to really get the true ending, you actually have to beat the game basically 4 times. Um, like that, uh, the way that the story works, you basically each time you beat the game completely changes, and when you play it the next time, it's just a totally different game almost. Um, and like uh, when you get to when you finish the third time, like you've seen almost all of the story, and then like you just have to chapter select and do like the last fight again, and you can see the last ending. Uh, and like another way that it breaks conventions is, I mean, another crazy thing that you can do is that you can actually there's a part once you've seen all the like 4 of the main endings, you can get the fifth ending, but like it's through a really difficult sort of mini game, and you can get the help of other people to complete this mini game who have already beaten it. Um, but like, and it's going to be pretty much impossible to beat it without getting help.
Okay, well now you've said that, you are aware I am going to have to get the game and do it on my own, just to prove the point.
And he will do it too.
Um,
That's that sounds a lot like Heavy Rain's multiple endings.
Except no,
but like,
because Epi Rain's multiple endings were terrible.
That's true. I like that game,
um,
but it wasn't brilliant.
I mean,
hmm.
it started out great. It was a really cool idea, and then it just falls apart when when you get to the plot twist. It is the stupidest plot twist. It doesn't work.
It really is.
But it was better than Beyond Two Souls now.
Well, that's a low bar. But yeah, I remember when you started trophy hunting, Mark. It was way back when we used to be on PGZ all together, and you and I had that who could platinum BioShock 2 the first.
Yeah, that was ill-advised.
I don't know. I gave you a good run for the money until we got to the multiplayer shit, and I just gave up on that.
In fairness, that's just the same thing to do, isn't it? I mean, finishing that multiplayer broke me. Let's not beat around the bush. It broke me. It was awful.
Oh yeah, it was not an enjoyable experience, and it was because its multiplayer was so poorly balanced.
Yeah, and just plain old boring.
That too, yeah. Once everybody just started grabbing rocket launchers, that was pretty much the end of the whole thing for me.
It's a shame because, unlike a lot of sort of bolted-on multiplayers, it actually had a pretty good concept behind it. Being able to play during the Rapture Civil War. I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
And they just didn't really take it to anywhere interesting.
But what I was trying to get at. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, we kind of went off a tangent there, didn't we?
Yeah, this whole buying trophy thing, is this in-game money or is it real money?
In-game money, as far as I saw.
Oh, yeah, if it was real money, I assure you I'd been at least 3 times more furious.
Oh no, it's like it's in-game currency, and they're actually very, very expensive in-game currency. Like I'm in the store right now for it, and like if I were to just one of some of these, like almost all of my money, and like I said, I've beaten the game a bunch of times. I've saved up a bunch of money, but but you can. It's also worth mentioning though that like earned them, you can just like not load your game, or you can just load your game without saving, and then just buy another one because like your trophy information is saved separately from the game data.
So you could basically just like cheese out getting all the trophies.
Yeah, like with the money I have, I actually do that.
That's ridiculous. Well, there's the whole thing actually reminded me of something I wrote an article about a long while ago. It was when Mortal Kombat X came out, and what they allowed to. It's not so much trophy related, but it's just another example of bad ideas where they let you get a reward by buying it, and they gave you the ability to buy out the fatalities, so you could just do them easier.
Oh, I remember that. That was ridiculous.
I think it was like $5, and like the whole thing replaced the regular fatalities with the regular input combinations with just like a button press or something.
But wasn't it a limited amount as well? You had to buy a certain amount of fatalities, and then when they ran out, you had to carry on doing them normally.
I don't remember
If you do that. If you do that, does it cause you to like when you rip the enemy's heart out, it turns into money?
Well, it turns into money into their pockets.
Yeah, but the funny thing about that is that when Mortal Kombat Gold on the PlayStation, they had a cheat code which did that. We do the one button.
Yeah, but that was a cheat code.
Yeah, but they're basically making you pay for a cheat code that they made years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually a really interesting discussion to have. Is DLC the new cheat codes in a lot of ways?
Well, it can be.
Cheat codes have basically vanished from gaming. I mean, when was the last time you saw a big head mode in a game? They used to be everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the thing
Batman Arkham City was the last time I saw it.
The thing is cheat codes were originally just for developers to make developing the game easier, so they could just access a bunch of things like God mode, and the other ones were just kind of silly things.
Yeah.
But essentially, I was just thinking of that. I remember back in the old days, and you say that they made you pay for it. So it's like they're just rehashing old shit.
Pretty much. I mean, that is the game industry's bread and butter, isn't it? Rehashing old shit.
Well, it's every industry's bread and butter.
Pretty much.
Look
It's
at
a
the
fair
movies that
point.
are out right now.
That's true.
Yeah, now we got Tom Cruise taking over Brendan Fraser's role in The Mummy.
Wait. Isn't it the original Universal Mummy? So separate to the Mummy franchise?
I could have sworn it was part of the Mummy franchise,
It's a
not the
I
reboot,
Universal
don't
one.
think
yeah.
so, 'cause I seem to remember it saying um, the makers wanted to do sort of an MCU style monster universe, like the Mummy, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein's monster, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it is part of it, but it's a reboot of that film in the 90s.
I stopped watching the Brendan Fraser Mummy films right around the time the changed the cast around. I wasn't pleased about that.
Change the
No.
cast around.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got rid of Rachel Weisz for the third film, I think it was,
Yeah, it's the third film, yeah.
Okay, because I
which I
didn't see
was
that one.
displeased with. No, neither did I, for the reason I just mentioned. Although they did have Jet Li in it, who I am a fan of, but I'll deal with it.
It sure was no Scorpion King.
Why would you even say that?
The greatest of all of the Mummy franchise films. I love the that ending to the Scorpion, or not the Scorpion King, but Mummy 2, where they just really had this horribly CGI'd The Rock on like a
Yeah, I
scorpion
remember.
body. That was just the best part of the whole
What?
movie.
It was.
What?
Okay, so the Mummy 2 was about like they were trying to resurrect the Scorpion King, use the powers of Anubis to basically raise this massive army, and that's what Imhotep wanted to do, is re-raise that army and use it to take over the world, basically, naturally. Um, and so the Scorpion King was a character who The Rock was playing, and at the end, I guess part of his oh, people are watching this. Okay, uh,
Mm.
and so
No previews allowed.
so at the end of it, they fight the Scorpion King, and it's The Rock, but he's CGI'd onto this like man scorpion kind of creature, and it's so poorly done.
That sounds amazing.
You
Oh, it
should
is.
watch it just for
It's
that
the
ending.
greatest thing ever. I mean, it's not a
Oh,
bad film. It's just visibly outdated, which is a shame.
And the game that accompanied it was fantastic, and I mean that in a
What was
sarcastic
that?
way.
I vaguely remember a PlayStation 1 Mummy game that I played the demo of, but that's literally the only one I know.
There's a PS2 version of The Mummy Returns, and it was pretty
That's a
abysmal.
shame. I do remember there was a cartoon that I enjoyed when I was a kid.
Oh
That was
yeah, I
pretty
remember
good.
they did that.
I do really want to talk about that thing in Nier Automata though, like that I was leading up
Yeah.
to.
Go ahead.
But like, because it's gonna, I feel like it's gonna hit you guys like a bomb. Because like what you can do at that ending, like, is you don't get the help of people who've completed it. You get the help of people who've completed it, and then at the end of the game, it asks you, do you want to be able to help other players get through this? If you want to be able to do that, you're gonna have to delete your save file for the game.
Interesting. I mean, it's kind of
That's stupid.
it's kind of negated by the existence of backups. It probably doesn't have the gravity that they want it to have, but
Uh,
it's a neat idea, I guess.
That
I
sounds a
wonder if
bit
it
dumb.
works like the first Nier game, because the first Nier game, in order to see the final ending of the game, you had to delete your save file. But I think you actually had to delete like all save files that were on that profile. Um, I'm not sure though. I think that's right.
I mean, I absolutely would back it up to memory stick before I did that, but I can see where they're coming from. I do
Memory
enjoy
stick,
when games
bloody hell.
screw around like that.
Considering it uses network features to if that has any impact.
Well,
Mm.
normally I'd just update using the PS Plus Cloud Save feature, but
Hmm.
obviously you run the risk of it being overwritten by auto upload, so it always helps to have a hard copy elsewhere just in case.
Hmm.
Agreed.
Mm.
It's like say Bloodborne that constantly save. It's a good way of keeping backups for that.
you must fill up your PSN cloud save a lot.
Oh, I've still got like 7 GB left, something like that. I mean, saves aren't big.
That's true.
I got to get a bigger hard drive because I'm using up so much of mine on just
Oh gosh, I have to
installs.
delete something every time I install a game.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I was in the same situation, but I recently got a PS Pro, so that's no longer an issue. And I understand that Sony now finally supports external hard drives.
They
Yeah,
do, yeah.
which is
And that-
nice.
that's on time.
Plus,
There you go.
upgrading the hard drive is so simple. You know, I've done it. I've got 2 TB, sorry. In
Oh, you heard it here first, guys. If we can do it, anyone can do it.
I've built 3 computers, so yeah. Blew up.
He used a spazzy method of building something by watching YouTube videos.
Yeah. Well, gotta start somewhere.
And that should probably
And
be explained that we have a friend who, instead of playing games, would watch the YouTube videos of them, so we'd always rail on him for that.
Oh, I still do. I
Oh,
did so as
gosh.
recently as Thursday. Yeah, Thursday.
So what's his latest watching spree?
Uh, I've actually forgotten.
You must have
He
watched
watches
Horizon.
this, that, and everything. So
Is he the person that game developers have nightmares about?
he's the person
They
that
never buy
everyone
their
has
games.
nightmares about.
Never buys their games and watches
Yeah,
someone else play it.
it's a pain doing anything with him. Like the last time I actually managed to play with him, except for Final Fantasy, which we play a lot because it's now the only game he seems to play. Was way back when Dark Souls 2 was released back on the PS3, and I was dragging him through the game by the scruff of his neck, like I'm prone to do. And we got to, I've forgotten the name of the area because it wasn't a terribly memorable game, but it was like a docks or a wharf full of pirates and shit. So I just sort of told him, right, wait there, I'll go kill everything for you so you can move through the level. Did exactly that. Got back and said, right, it's clear, you can go now. And he took 4 steps forward and ran off a bridge to his death.
So he got defeated by the infamous bridge boss.
Still isn't as bad as trying to play anything with EP.
Yeah, I only ever
Are we just, is this just a talking podcast?
EP, Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, I
Played that with EP. Got him on.
I did a 1 episode web series called Playing with Pineapple because he asked me to help him out on Dead Rising 2, and I did, and the results were just disastrous.
And they made for great video, so.
I wish I did record it though. It was like, anyone who played Resident Evil 5, you know the village with the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got him to stand in the middle of the bridge, and then I released it and killed him.
See, that's just malicious. See, my humour comes
What's
from
funny,
you just utterly fucking everything up rather than me actively trying to sabotage him.
It just reminded me of when I was playing Resident Evil 4 and I had a friend watching, and he was watching my stream on Steam, and he was telling me, oh, you need to shoot the fish in this water because it will give you a bonus to your health. Like they'll drop a thing that'll give you a bonus to your health. And I was like, oh, what, really? So like I shot a whole bunch of fish, just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. And I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's working. And he said, no, keep going, it'll happen. So I keep going. Fish jumps out and eats me, and I get a game over.
I knew where that was going.
Good old setups.
That was Diz, by the way.
Yeah,
in my notes that I actually do just try to help people.
I've given up helping people.
Good guy, Mark.
Yeah.
There's got to be one. Okay, so we should probably move on because that was an
Okay.
uncomfortable amount of silence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So,
That's typical.
and then there's the new Zelda game came out, much to Mark's happiness.
Oh,
But
Zelda.
I haven't actually gotten a chance to play it because I have neither a Wii U nor a Switch and won't have one anytime soon. But Kyle, I know you said that you had some thoughts uh, on it.
Yeah, like I mean, it's something that hasn't been talked about before by other people, but the open world in the new Zelda game is super interesting because like it kind of works the way Zelda games always have. It's just very massive, and they got rid of the fairy guide that would kind of annoy you as you went around, but like the uh, the way that the reason I say it works kind of the way other Zeldas have is that you don't really have like map indicators that are like, oh, this is exactly where you need to go to talk to this next person to go and complete your objective. Like that's the way that you normally think of open world games, right? But they completely just with like if there are things on your map, like the only things on your map are shrines and markers that you personally place. And I think there's like maybe one more thing. But
so basically,
like
it's like an Ubisoft open world game before you get to a radio tower.
sort of, except imagine if Ubisoft open world games actually like explained to you where you needed to go and you had to figure it out. Like you actually have really interesting environments that you traverse that are that like you have a general idea of where you're supposed to go
Well, unfortunately, they
and
have
what you're supposed
been
to do.
alienated. They've already been alienated at the concept of interesting environments, so that's them out of the game.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like if you go through a city, they're built so modularly in those games, like they don't end up being like they don't really seem like they're. It's really hard to tell exactly where you are unless you're just looking at your map all the time. It's like
It's
in
basically,
Zelda, like
sorry, go on.
everything is super like interesting. It stays unique, and you get into all these different areas. They all have a lot of character to them. And you know exactly where you are. You have a lot of things you can look at to get reference as to where you are. Really big things that you can kind of use to orient yourself.
Sounds
Um,
promising.
Right, but the big question is, where does it fit in the ever confusing Zelda timeline?
oh, I wondered if you were going to ask that. That that's
I'm
I
gonna,
have no
I think I'll
idea.
just go like make a coffee or something and come back in 10 minutes.
It's, it's like it's like Nintendo went, right, we'll just put it here.
I wonder, like, they say that they don't ever consider where it is on the time of each game. And I believe it. It never
'Cause
really
they've
quite
probably
makes
given
sense.
up.
And then when they're done with it, they just sort of throw it out randomly on the timeline, like, yeah, it falls under the part where he did the thing that one time,
They
but
they they put the timeline on a big dartboard. They're like, it's gonna be somewhere around thunk there.
That sounds like Ubisoft's open world design team.
where's the next quest objective? All the way across the map. Why not?
Oh yeah,
So
and
I
Radio
know
Towers
this
will
will,
put them in as microtransactions.
yeah, I know this will shock a great many of you, but I haven't actually played the latest Zelda game, so this isn't applying specifically to that. But in general, I think
Inconceivable.
I think open worlds have just lost their allure for me. I'm really sick of them because a lot of the time it's just a case of quantity over quality. Like there's this big open world full of places you can go with absolutely nothing interesting in them.
Oh
It's
man,
just
I know
boring
exactly what you
shit
mean.
copied and pasted over and over again. There's nothing of
I've,
substance.
oh yeah, like I've actually been somewhat against the idea of open world for quite a while. Like I much prefer, uh, open or linear game where you can run around as like a hub world. But
Yeah.
the like the I don't know, whenever you have I like having a really tight sort of narrative experience, not necessarily in terms of like having lots of cutscenes, but like just I like having I like having it so that it's sort of contained and paced in a way that's really fun,
No, I agree with
without
you.
having to like, oh well, I have to ride a horse for like 15 minutes now.
It's like
I mean, there was a
kind of like
time when
kind
basically the word linearity just became a dirty word in the game industry, and open world was automatically associated as a good thing, when it just simply wasn't the case.
I think it
Yeah,
started
I
with
think,
Grand Theft Auto 3, and
yeah,
then
Grand Theft Auto was the first one that started it, and it's like everyone had to have an open world game. Then it's like, well, clone this.
it was different then, open worlds were still new and exciting. It was, actively different to be able to just go wherever you want and do
well,
whatever you want to do.
the
But
other
it's
half of
played
that
out now.
yeah.
The other half of that coin is games like Call of Duty have made linear games look like a dirty thing because they're always these really garbagey, corridor shooters where, enemies will pop up and you shoot them in the head and then you move on. You don't have all those really good games that we used to get, like a Second Sight. Second Sight was a really good game,
It was
and
a good game, I remember that.
it's a very, very linear type of game, but it wasn't like, or Time Splitters, even though Time Splitters is kind of a weird one to go with. That was a
Rest in
good,
peace, Splitters. Rest in peace.
yeah.
Yeah, never gonna
That was,
happen.
but it was possible for games to be linear and still good. Doom is a very linear game, all of versions of it, and it's still one of the best shooters ever made, one of the best
Oh
games
yeah.
ever made.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
every
I
every
suppose
RPG has to have like 6,000 hours of fake content, as I like to call it, because it's padding.
that's essentially that's exactly what it is. But I suppose it's the difference between a linear shooter and a corridor shooter. It's like take
Hmm.
Crysis for example. I don't consider that to be like an open world shooter because you've still got a fairly linear set of objectives to achieve. But you can still approach firefights in very different ways.
Right.
That's what I would consider to be a good example of a linear shooter with freedom as opposed to a corridor shooter like Call of Duty.
Yeah, because I remember playing Crisis 2, and what I got out of it was a linear. It had open world sensibilities, where there was a
Yeah.
lot more freedom to what you were doing, and the areas were large enough to accommodate that.
I dare
Yeah,
say actually,
definitely.
I only actually finished it recently, like mid-March, but the Doom reboot does that incredibly well. Like it's obviously a very linear game, but there's so many options available to you in each firefight.
Oh yeah, I actually have. I've been trying to platinum it, um, but the Ultra Nightmare mode is ridiculous and will be totally up
It is,
your
isn't it?
alley. It sucks. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it is a hell of a tough one.
But
But really good game, though. Really good game.
yeah, it definitely did. It definitely did that Crisis feel to it, where there's a lot of verticality, there's a lot of cover, there's different options. You've got skills that will open up new abilities, or open new abilities, new opportunities.
Hmm.
And I wish I wish Call of Duty would go that route with its single player. I really do. How
Yeah.
amazing would it have been if Infinite Warfare had been basically what Doom turned out to be?
Well,
I'm gonna
I
say
think it.
great just because of how Doom was. I didn't actually play Infinite Warfare because I gave up on the series after Black Ops and will not change that.
Well, I got it because of the original
Because you're a
COD
Call of
4.
Duty sucker, dude. That's why.
No, because it was COD 4, but
But
but they do.
but
But the
but
thing about Infinite Warfare, well, I only played it a little bit and then I gave up with it because it's shit. But they give you a ship and that's it. It's like if they let it was like an open universe, like you can go anywhere you want, it would be much better. But it's the COD concept is throw people at you, shoot them, and that's it.
I'll tell you what though, linearity is an interesting concept when applied to because generally it always applies to shooters or action adventures. It's always small variations on the same thing. But look at RPGs, right? I'm going to take the Final Fantasy series as an example here. Like the older games, like the PS1 tier games, um, they're not open world exactly, despite there being obviously a world map. But there's a lot of freedom in the way you can go about things. And you come to Final Fantasy 13, which was heavily derided for its heavy linearity, which I think was fair. And you've got now Final Fantasy 15, which I think is a little bit too open world. There's a lot of, as you say, filler content that doesn't really need to be there. It's interesting trying to strike a balance between the two.
Well, yeah. Well, 13's problem is that it was done in a series that's known for having these big, vibrant worlds and all these different places to go to, and then it just kind of stuck you in a bunch of corridors the entire game. And then people were like 20 hours in is when it gets good. It's like, no, I'm not waiting 20 hours for a game to not suck.
It's like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it a lot after I finished the main story and I could go and explore and do shit. But it's like, I mean, Final Fantasy X, I think, was a good example of sort of a linear RPG because, even though it did away with like the world maps and whatnot, and a lot of people, including myself, did miss that. And it was a pretty linear line of progression, but it didn't necessarily feel like you were on train tracks as you were with 13.
Now that you mention it, yeah, thinking back to my experience with 10, I never really missed the overworld map so much, and it never really felt like I was being corralled through the game.
There's always, for example, lots of side quests that you can do along the way to, keep things interesting without sort of taking you off path too much. It's like FF13 had basically no side quests. 15 is exclusively side quests at the moment by the looks of it. Again, it's all about going in the middle.
12 operate the same way as 10 in
Yeah,
a way.
basically.
Yeah, but it suffered from having an even worse cast and terrible combat, so...
Hey, I will not hear anything bad about 12's combat. It was perfect.
It was awful.
The Gambit system is the single greatest example of party AI, and I will not hear otherwise.
You could not hear it. It's still, garbage.
Bullshit.
That's a subject for another time.
We could fill an entire episode on how much I hate some of those Final Fantasy games.
Seriously though, how many other games can you fight some of the hardest bosses in the game by programming your allies to fight specifically how you want them to and just leaving them to it?
I will say that was a really interesting idea. Like, I did like the idea. I agree with you that it was a really interesting concept, or that it worked, and that it worked pretty well. But it also, I don't know, that the combat was just really boring because, like, yeah, it required a lot of planning outside of battle, but when you were in battle, like, you didn't think about it most of the time, like at all.
Pretty much.
I did. I assure you that I did.
Well, you're always thinking. That's really not a fair comparison.
Well, I mean,
Sure,
like in the boss fight, sure, but I don't know.
I can't wait to try the international version when the remaster comes out. See how that compares.
The international version. I'll get that. Good old remastered, if it ever comes out, of course.
I think it's set for this year, isn't it?
What's that?
Square.
The remaster that is actually giving us poor Europeans the chance to experience the international version.
The only way you could get it was import.
Which I think is funny, considering it's supposed to be the international version.
Yeah, we always get screwed over here.
Alright, so let's see.
I know...
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go on.
No, go ahead. You have a thought.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know like all of the changes and whatnot, but I do know that it reintroduces the job system that the series is obviously so famous for. I'm really interested to see how that will play out, because in the main game it basically amounted to me giving characters weapons that best suited their stats, and that was the extent of it. So I'd really like to see how that affects the core gameplay.
All right, so that's open worlds, and I feel like there haven't been too many good open world games, just because Ubisoft has kind of saturated the market with their samey.
Yeah, they've genuinely ruined the entire genre by themselves, and that is not hyperbole. They have.
But what about space ones? You know, like Elite Dangerous.
You know, there's
Are they
so
do they
few
count as
good
open
space
worlds?
games. There really are so few good space games around.
Yeah.
And I desperately want one.
But do they count as open world? Because you can go anywhere in the galaxy.
I find that
I think
most space games that are
when we're talking about open world games, it's really just sandbox games. Like you're
basically.
on a specific world, and because Elite Dangerous and games like that, like Eve and all that, it's just such a massive product that I couldn't really call it open world so much as just like it's space simulation.
See, I find that a lot of sort of space games that are out there focus in order to mount on just ship combat, which I don't really have a lot of interest in. I'm more interested in, the storytelling aspects and strategy, that sort of thing, and there's just nothing out there that really suits my needs there.
Well, yeah, Elite does, I
Well,
think, from what I've watched there. But that's again, we're going off topic.
That's fine. I mean, just keep talking about it. I'm not concerned about so much staying on topic. I
So,
I,
so
I
when
When have we
assume
ever stayed on topic?
I assume we're gonna go off topic.
wait, there's a
Yeah.
topic?
so I guess what you were trying to say there was that No Man's Sky is the best open world game.
Oh my God, no.
No, no, do not get me started on No Man's Sky.
See now, when I
No.
got No Man's Sky, I had low expectations of what it was going to offer. I didn't think it was going to be really. I figured it was just going to be at most Minecraft in space, and that's what it turned out to be. It was just Minecraft.
Hmm.
Oh, I am proud
Minecraft
to say
Minecraft
that
until you got
without
to
the
the
base building.
Right. Well, they added that now, but on release,
Yeah,
like
that's true.
it
On
wasn't
release,
it wasn't that big of a product, and I wasn't expecting
So,
it.
so basically, it bought into the increasingly popular trend of, oh, I'll finish my game after I put it up for sale.
Pretty
Oh
much.
boy, that's like a whole.
No, but no, they did the worst crime. They did the kill zone crime, which is show a beautiful game at E3, and then the product they released was absolute dog shit.
Well, that's also a Ubisoft thing. I mean,
Yes,
I shouldn't
the
talk too
Division.
much crap, I guess, but like if you look at like I was watching a comparison video that was like it would take E3 videos of Ubisoft games, like it would take footage of the actual game of that point in the game and compare them, and the difference was just so funny.
You know,
Like
You
I,
mean you mean like the Division with the four voice characters they always have showed the wonderful side of New York which no one could access, and the three different dark zones that were going to be in the game, except for
Division
only
was
one existed.
Division was such a letdown. I tell you what, I generally consider myself to be a rather unlucky chap. Not much goes my way, but I did have one stroke of good fortune in my life. That was when I pre-ordered my PS4. I also ordered Watch Dogs, but it got delayed, so I cancelled it. Easily the best thing that
Yeah,
ever happened to me.
yeah, I've
now,
got
see,
Watch
I
Dogs.
actually did
I got
enjoy
suckered into that.
Watch Dogs, but I enjoyed it admittedly in a somewhat different way from most people.
Yeah.
Fair
Like
enough.
Watch Dogs was
I've been
hilarious to me because like there's this serious, gruff, like boring character, and
With his
he
iconic
thinks
hat.
so badly that he's
Yes, the
Batman.
iconic cat.
Ah, yes, Ubisoft
Before the
DLC.
game even fucking comes out, his hat's iconic.
Funny thing is that in the Division they have iconic Division gear. It's like what?
They're trying to define for you what's iconic. But,
Yeah.
but
So I
like
guess kind of threw off there, didn't I?
It should be renamed the Ironic Cap.
but like for the like with him being so serious and everything, it made it a lot funnier when you would do something completely ridiculous. So like there's a mission in the game where you have to tail a boat without it noticing you. Like it's just sailing from one place to another. Follow it, but the only the only vehicle they give you to follow it with is a dirt bike. So like you're doing sweet jumps on a dirt bike while trying to keep them from noticing you. And it's the most ridiculous thing of all time.
So basically, it's Grand Theft Auto with hacking.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, but not even as good, to be honest.
Hmm.
It had some good, but the thing about Watch Dogs, it had some good aspects of the game. It's like I
Yeah.
did like the hacking part of it. It's like when you got chased, you could like open up the bridges and stuff. I thought they had a good concept,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
really like that.
but the thing about
Yeah,
Ubisoft is that they have good concepts, but then when they come to make the game, it sucks.
Pretty
And then,
much.
but then Watch Dogs 2, I feel like redeemed it somewhat because Watch Dogs 2, they added a whole bunch of new things you could do with the hacking, and like it suddenly was a lot more it was a lot more complicated in a good way. You had a lot more options, and it was pretty simple to use everything, but like you had like these little robot things that you could control,
You mean
and
drones?
so yeah, drones. So like you could have them go around and like you could hack things remotely much more easily and kind of set things up for yourself so that when you would go in, you would have a pretty easy way to get through, um, using lower risk because you had these drones that you were sending in first. They I think you could use them to like drop explosives and stuff, or you could just like use them to open up doorways or set up forklifts and things along your way so that you could just have it lift you up and carry you to another spot or something. Um, and like that sort of cerebral like planning ahead, figuring it out, and then executing the plan. I really like that. Um,
From what I
I
played
was
of it,
doing
it
the
seemed a
same
lot
thing.
more. It seemed more enjoyable. Like the characters were interesting, and it wasn't
Oh
just
yeah.
I'm Aiden Pierce and I'm actually
It wasn't
Batman or something
it
stupid
wasn't
like that.
lethal Batman.
With
Basically.
my iconic hat.
Oh man, nothing's more iconic than a baseball cap with a really shitty logo drawn on it.
But did the protagonist of Watch Dogs 2 have an iconic balaclava?
Have a what?
Iconic balaclava. He wore balaclava, I don't know, didn't he?
Balaclava? No. Like you could customize his clothing almost completely.
Yeah, well,
So like
I
you could
got
wear
burned by
whatever
the
hat you
first game,
wanted.
so I never touched the second one.
And
So.
then what I remember of the clothing was it was more in line with the Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row games where there was a lot of variety versus here's just a change on the coat color.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Character
Like you have
customization
completely
is
different outfits.
Yeah,
character customization is always a bit of a big deal with me, and it's usually a letdown.
Same. Like
Well,
I love playing games where they give you a whole. This is something I was talking to Kyle about when we were kind of having our back and forth on what's better, ESO or Final Fantasy 14. And
Yeah,
for
14's character customization is bad, I'll be honest.
yeah, that character creation
No.
system is one of the. It's on par with those Korean MMOs. It's just presets.
Yeah,
The
funny
worst
fact,
character.
my character is a Hyur, and my eyebrows are tattoos because I don't actually have any on my character model and can't put any on, except as a tattoo.
That's amazing.
I know.
I think the new Mass Effect character customization has currently the worst.
Well, in
It's-
fairness, it looks like it was drawn by a child to start with, so
they give you 11 faces, and that's it.
Oh.
Now, I feel that the
guess,
best one I've had so far, because I don't have Black Desert Online, but ESO, Elder Scrolls Online's character creation, is on par with the Elder Scrolls games in terms of options. I mean, you can basically manipulate every single aspect of your character. And
yeah.
I can
and
have.
then, did you see the characters in Oblivion? Like they look like they were carved with potato peelers. It didn't matter what you did the sliders.
Yes, I remember that. This one's a lot better though. And then the
I'll be
other
honest.
aspect to character creation is crafting. All of my armor that my characters wear are crafted by me, and I get to change
course.
I get to pinpoint exactly how I want my character to look. Whereas, I just haven't been able to get into crafting in Final Fantasy 14 at all, and it adheres to a lot of. It adheres to those old school ways of crafting where you have, mining is its own skill set, whereas in ESO, mining is an intrinsic part of blacksmithing. Like you could do it right from the gate. You don't have to invest in a skill tree or items or anything.
Well, in fairness, in FF14, all you need to do is pick up the job and you're good to go.
Yeah, but don't you have to
Kind of
actually
sounds like
you have to equip the pick in order to do it, don't you?
Oh no, that's
Yeah,
one
every class has its
real
own
quick thing
tools.
you have to do in a menu.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying is for each class like blacksmithing or armor and all that, you have to equip the actual tool. In
Well,
ESO,
I'm well
it
aware.
does it
I'm a massive
automatically.
crafter.
Well, no, I'm just saying, in comparison, in ESO, if you want to craft something, you just go to the crafting bench and craft. That's it. You don't
Yeah.
have any extra
I,
equipment.
I personally, I prefer the whole specialization thing.
Some people
But
do.
that's just
I
me.
don't, but
I
I
prefer
can
it too.
understand why.
Like I prefer it because like in Final Fantasy XIV in particular, because I like that you have such control over, like you don't have control over the end product so much, but you do have over like the choices you make affect the outcome. So like how much
Yeah,
experience you get and like the quality of the item depends
that is
on
for me.
how well you played the minigame basically.
yeah.
I tell you what though, it really did have an impact on me, to be honest. Like when I started crafting, like I decided I wanted to, learn all of the classes and whatnot, and kind of make my way through the recipe book and learn how to craft bigger and better things. I really enjoyed it, to the extent that I recently completed my first in real life commission, as compared to all of the virtual commissions that I was doing all this time.
That's
It
pretty
inspired me
cool.
to actually learn how to start crafting.
So somebody
Hmm.
bought you. Yeah, somebody bought equipment off of you.
Well, technically no, because I gave it to them for free because it was the first thing I'd made, and I wasn't too confident about my ability to produce something sell-worthy. Although having made it, I do think it looks really awesome.
Hmm,
But that was my first sort of official commission, so yeah.
that's pretty cool. I haven't really gotten into Final Fantasy XIV's crafting, and I hope to eventually. But the other thing that makes
Well, it's a
ESO's
dark,
crafting
dark hole.
ESO's crafting is good too because you get these you get styles that you can unlock from like little books and all that, and each style has a
Yeah.
different look depending on the tier of materials you're using. So you can mix and match different styles and make these really unique and crazy looking characters. And that's what I want in my games is I want that level of customization.
Well, in fairness to Final Fantasy, it's commonly agreed upon amongst veteran players like myself that the true end game is fashion fantasy because it's
Yeah,
that
but
many
that's the
there's so
same
many
for
different
any
sorts
MMO.
of outfits that you can wear and glamour onto your equipment so you can look however you want pretty much. There's so much different variety, and a lot of it's hard to unlock. It's good stuff. But
Yeah,
Well,
anyway, if I can
isn't that the end game for the Souls games too? Fashion
basically,
Souls.
yeah.
Fashion Souls.
But see, the problem with that though is I always really like the default knight set, so it's hard for me to prefer anything else. I'm pretty much I've won the game from the start basically. Yeah,
Well,
if I can,
you like the fluted knight set, didn't you?
oh, it's awesome. I think I prefer the elite knight set, but fluted knight's definitely a close second.
It was a unique design that was very specific to uh, the Souls games, specifically Demon Souls, where it started.
Yeah,
I always thought it was a pretty cool design.
yeah. If I can go back to the whole sort of character creation thing for a moment, I have to say I've never really given that much of a shit about the faces. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter how much I mess with sliders. I'm not usually happy with the end product. I'd personally be happy for just a small number of decent looking presets and a larger number of customizables like hairstyles. So many games have really terrible hairstyles to choose from. I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the last
Yeah.
game where I actually liked the options in offer was Dragon's Dogma.
and even then,
Um,
like Dragon's Dogma was a good game in theory, but I felt like in practice it just didn't work all that well.
I really liked it.
Well, I mean, Final Fantasy XIV has the Pompadour, so obviously, like, it's the best one.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, Kyle's got a
In fact,
character that pretty much just looks like JoJo.
please tell me you're not a potato as well.
A potato?
Lalafell. We call them potatoes on my server.
What is a potato? Oh, people
Uh,
with a pompadour?
no, we just use it as a reference to Lalafels.
Oh, okay. No, I'm playing a mikote, I think is what they're called, like the
Fair enough.
cat people.
Our server has something of a potato epidemic. It's not nice.
Uh, it's kind of like Star Trek Online with everyone going around with midgets.
I actually wanted
Yeah,
to make one of the little tiny the midget characters,
that's a Lalafell.
yeah, and give them a pompadour just for the
Yeah,
all like
Spazzy has
this,
one of those through.
just for the serious scenes, and it's just they're talking to this itty bitty tiny creature with a pompadour, and like, you're the savior of our land, you have this special power.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. He probably wouldn't even be able to see them through the pompadour. Like it would just be blocking his vision.
It's beautiful the more I think about it.
Like there's a part in one of the scenes where like I think I mentioned this to you, like there's like a crystal and you're like floating through space or something, and like at the end of
Yeah.
the cutscene straight up and looking up, and like the wind is blowing your hair, and like because I had the pompadour not smashed over my eyes, like my character's eyes. There was no way he could see anything.
Oh, that's poor character design there, isn't it?
Oh, that's the best character design. You want that in your game.
It was amazing. I was so happy.
Well, in fairness, not being able to see through your hair is a Final Fantasy staple.
Yeah, that's true.
Best hair goes to Seymour.
Yeah. Although he can't see through that, so
He
it's not
can, but
help.
it's still terrible hair.
In fairness, if I saw someone with hair like that in real life, I would genuinely applaud them because, they don't give a fuck about gravity.
They have bested gravity.
Gravity is my bitch. All right, and another topic I wanted to talk about was, and this is something I don't think we ever got a chance to ever do on one of our podcasts, but it's always been a contention of mine, is video game difficulty. I don't think developers really understand what difficult means, and most of them
No.
just go for, bullet sponge and aimbot bullshit. Excuse me.
Yeah, this has long been a contention of mine. I
And
tend to
yeah.
refer to really shitty difficulty settings as Bethesda sliders because it was Bethesda games that I really sort of started to notice it, where they just slide like enemy damage up, enemy health up, player health low, player damage low. It's just adjusting values. Whereas,
Yeah.
sorry, back in 1 second.
It's all good. I always go back to Dead Space 1 when I talk about difficulty, because Dead Space 1 on easy uh, really kind of gave you an idea of what you were getting into. And then when you switched over to Impossible, the hardest difficulty setting, the enemies didn't just get like a shitload of health and you take less damage. Enemies, they were more plentiful, but you also had to make use of all of the skills you had learned in the lower difficulty. And as long as you used those skills, you would win. The chief one being cutting off the exploding sacks and leaving them around until they got like large groups of necromorphs.
Yeah. Well, in the old
There,
days, in the old days, back in the 90s, the difficulty settings is like games like Streets of Rage 3. If you played it on easy, you didn't get the good end. You got a bad ending,
Right.
and you had to play it on the harder difficulty setting to get the proper ending.
hmm.
So it ramped up the games like you know you're going to die on this, but you have to do it to get the good ending.
I always enjoyed that with Streets of Rage 3 because when they ported it over to Europe, like the Japanese hard mode became our normal mode, and our hard mode
Oh
was
gosh.
just on a completely different level. And you had to complete it on hard mode to get the proper ending, and it was not fun. And this is from someone who relishes
Jeez.
video game difficulty.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mark is
Yeah.
Mark is notorious in our group for taking on the most ridiculous, difficult challenges and beating
I
them.
haven't beaten yet.
Uh, hmm.
Well, if you're like game difficult up in game difficulties, like the Japanese version of Final Fantasy VII didn't have the weapons in it, and then they thought, well, we'll make it harder for the West. We'll put these weapons in there.
Harder to say. I played that again recently. You know, they ported it to the PS4, didn't they? And I went to get the trophies and whatnot, and I absolutely destroyed the weapons. I remember it being hard on me back in the day, but this time I felt sorry for him.
I love just
Well,
the
when you
smugness
first-
about
when
it.
you first faced them back.
I remember it being harder before, and now shrug.
Yeah, like, back in 1997 when I first played, it's like, this is difficult. It's like, I know how to do it now. Just wipe them out.
It's a really strong
when I-
example. It's sorry, go on.
Well, I was just gonna. I feel like with difficulty, like a great example of that is like the Devil May Cry series. I mean, it's a great example in like a really interesting way. I mean, not like that interesting, but like the with you know, the way that they do difficulty is that enemies, not just that enemies are more plentiful or that they have more HP, but that enemies have new attacks, including especially bosses. Enemies will have new attacks that they'll use against you, and they'll be more difficult because of things. So when you get to the highest difficulty, they have entirely new mechanics to the game.
They were very hard games as well. I remember them well.
So like with like the hardest difficulty has is always called Dante Must Die mode or something similar, and it's basically where if you know there's the style meter in the game, and usually want to get that style meter higher so you get more points, so you can get better upgrades. When you get the style meter high enough, or you take too long, they will use an ability that Dante usually has, the Devil Trigger. Like all of the enemies will simultaneously Devil Trigger, which makes them have tons more health, be way more defense. They do way more damage. So you want to beat them really quickly, but beating them really quickly means they're going to Devil Trigger faster because the style meter goes up.
Honestly, I forgot all about that. Yeah,
I was never good at the Devil May Cry games.
I play a normal, finish the game, and then that's it. I don't normally go for the higher difficulty thing.
It was the original Devil May Cry, the first game. It's definitely in my like top 10 hardest plats. I think some of it was really tough. I loved it.
With Devil May Cry 3, there was a really interesting thing because in Japan, like you were saying with that other game, like in Japan, their normal difficulty or their hard difficulty was our normal difficulty.
Yeah.
For Devil May Cry 3. So like you would play the game and it would just be really hard for no reason. Unless you were playing the special edition.
Although it was a reason,
which they fixed
Capcom.
that.
We do not speak
like-
Japan.
Yeah,
And then so like you'd play the game and you'd almost certainly die 3 times because like the hard mode was just so hard. Or because normal mode was just so hard. And then it would be like you've unlocked easy mode. So then you would play easy mode because like it's actually playable because it's the normal mode in Japan.
Well, it's like I think it's like Nightmare mode on Resident Evil 5. It was hard.
Speaking of, right, I mean Nightmare mode. Well, Nightmare mode was nothing. It was a professional mode on Resident Evil 5 that was the real difficulty, and all the difficulty came from the game's terrible AI. So I class that as fake difficulty.
Sheva.
But,
Well, I never used the AI when I went on to the highest. I used
A person.
you could be a person, but normally they're more useless than the AI.
I unfortunately had no choice.
He called upon
I
Pineapple
did
when he
listen-
did it on the hardest.
No, I didn't call it pineapple. For God's sake, no.
What?
He did want me to drag. He did want me to drag him through Nightmare. And I said no.
But what initiated my wanting to talk about, and you guys kind of reminded me, was Resident Evil 7. Its hardest difficulty, Madhouse, is utter bullshit. It is not difficult. It's not difficult. It sucks. It absolutely is. I thought it was difficulty done wrong.
Hmm.
No, I like.
They
I
just make
really
the
like
enemies
it
bullet
actually.
sponges.
Basically, yeah.
Nah.
Like,
Nah.
I'm
That's no
fighting.
fun.
Uh-oh.
I'm currently up to Jack Part 3, and because he has like 7 million weak points, and each one takes a ton of damage, it goes on for way too damn long, and it doesn't feel challenging like it did the first time I fought him. It just feels more like a slog, and I hate when you get to like the hardest difficulty in games sort of start doing that, because at a certain point, you can't just pump the health up and then give the player like no way around it. Even with the Albert, I was having a hard time with
Yeah.
him.
See, the thing is, that difficulty is intended to be played by people after they've unlocked things like the Albert, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I
have the
finished Mad
Albert.
House on my very first playthrough. I didn't have any of that shit, and I thought it was alright.
Well, you're a different breed of person, so
But
you
the thing
beat
is,
the. I still quote this anytime I try to explain to people how annoying it is to compare myself or anybody to you when playing games. Is you beat the what were they, the really difficult husk or hulking enemies in Dead Space 1 without using stasis.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I
Yeah.
haven't.
But one thing I do want to bring up about Madhouse mode is even if you think that the enemies are too strong or whatever, they do change around the enemy placement and the item placement quite a lot, so it does feel like I did my speed run on normal mode after only playing on Madhouse,
Mm.
and I was streaming at the time, and all the time I was like, oh well, this is new. That wasn't there in Madhouse. Oh look, the grenade launchers here. Interesting stuff. It kind of threw me through, but I find it interesting that even though it's a harder difficulty setting, there are actually fewer enemies than there are in normal mode.
Yeah,
Huh.
this is true. I've noticed there are a smaller amount of enemies to fight. The thing that threw me was when they threw one of the four-leggers into an early segment.
Was that in front of the save room door behind the scorpion door?
Yeah. That was where they appeared for the first time instead of the that hallway right in
Which
right in the basement.
which game is
Yeah,
this?
Resident Evil 7.
Resident Evil 7.
Oh, okay. So they did
One,
shuffle the enemies around then. I thought.
Yeah, they do shuffle them
Okay.
around.
one
Okay.
thing I didn't like about it, kind of a spoiler warning, just if anyone is interested in that. After you defeat Jack for the first time in the garage, I found out on normal mode that you can then freely roam the house. But on
Yeah,
Madhouse mode, as soon as you get out, Jack's chasing you everywhere. And I was on that section for days because I was trying to do it without being hit and without wasting any ammo on him. And he can literally teleport from the other side of the house. I planned my escape route, and like I'd get him to go one way, and I'd run away, and get to another part of the house, and he'd just appear in front of me out of nowhere. And that was a little bit frustrating, but otherwise, I did think it was done quite well.
well, that was my other complaint too. Was the speed of Jack was
Yeah,
way ridiculous on Madhouse.
it's. I think it's not so much that Jack's too fast; it's just Ethan's too slow.
That too. But well, no, they pumped up Jack's speed specifically for Madhouse, and that's actually
Oh
how I
yeah,
ended up seeing the leg sawing scene because that was completely new
see,
to me.
interesting thing. Like I had a co-worker rave about that scene to me, and I couldn't relate because I hadn't seen it in Madhouse, and I finished it on normal mode for my speedrun. Didn't see it then either. I hadn't seen it at all until I let my friends share play the game, and it happened to them. That was the first time I got to see it.
And it was I thought I had died. I thought it was like a death sequence, and I was really pissed off. And then
Yeah,
and then it went through the whole thing, and I was like, oh, that's actually really fucking cool. I'm still pissed at it because fuck you, but at the
but
same time,
yeah, but in fairness, on normal mode, I didn't actually let him chase me, so that's probably why I didn't see it.
yeah, he was easier. It was easier to get past him on normal mode, especially when you found out that it didn't adhere to the standard survival horror rules, where you can make as much noise as you want and they don't care.
Yeah,
Because I thought that I had to sneak around, and that if I didn't, he would hear me. No, you could just run right behind him; he won't even notice.
I still sort of crawled everywhere just to be safe. But I should have kind of figured it out when I got the dog head from the clock in the family room, and it started, making a massive noise when it was like in the next room, and you didn't hear it.
Yeah, but
Oh, I haven't
I
played.
still maintain that 7 is the best in the series.
I, I wouldn't necessarily say it was my favorite, but I can easily see people making the case for it being the best. I think sort of my main criticisms of it are just I wanted to see a little bit more enemy variety. And I think the pacing was a little bit off once you left the Baker estate, but I was really pleased with it overall. I was very happy with it.
I haven't played it yet. So.
I would say it's very good.
Yeah, you should get on it as soon as you can.
Although I did have a little twist on my usual Resident Evil 4. See, it's generally a rule with me when I'm playing a Resident Evil game for the first time that I will always finish the game with a huge surplus of Magnum ammo. Because it's always like, oh, what if I need it for the next fight? What if I need it
Yeah.
for the next fight? Oh, the game's over. This time was a little bit different in that I ended Madhouse with a huge surplus of Magnum ammo, but no Magnum.
Did you
Yeah, I spent
did you not know where to get it or
no, I'd spent the coins on other things.
ah? Well, I think if you spend the coins on the attack coins, you get to keep them permanently,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
And then
helpful.
I bought the attack coin, the defense coin, the stabilizer, and the steroids, all of which were very helpful. I'll tell you what though, I was so overly conservative. At one point, I always tried to do as much as I could before saving it because I was concerned about how many cassettes that I had left. So I'd like run through the house, explore everything I could, and then save it. And at one point, I got right to the end just before I was going to save it, and forgot that the steroids heal you to full as well as increasing your health.
Yeah.
Decreed it as a wasted healing resource and restarted. I
Yeah,
have
once I
actually
found that
restarted
out,
a
it
few
made
times using R1 by mistake.
yeah, once I found that out, that's what really saved me in the second Jack fight. Because the first one you
Yeah.
can just cheese your way through.
The first one was interesting. Again, coming back to sort of difficulty changes, because in normal mode, you just pick up the key to the car, don't you, and drive through with it. Whereas in Madhouse mode, the key is actually kept, so you can't access it right away.
Yeah, you have to
And
really race to get to it.
yeah, so you have to use a lockpick on it. But interesting thing, first time around, I just tried to fight him to a standstill for ages. I decided I was taking too much damage, I was using too much ammo, so I tried, and so I got in the car, hit him with it and whatnot, and he does that scene where he takes control from you.
Yeah.
But you take damage in a scripted sequence. It took me from fine to danger from doing that. So I thought, well, I don't really want to do that. I'm going to do the fight again. So this time I went in the car, but instead of starting it, I let Jack pull me out and get in the car himself. And
Yeah.
when I beat him by doing that, I didn't take any damage.
Yeah, if
It
you
was
hug
really,
the side of the car while he like speeds around, you'll never take damage. You can actually take him out with a knife.
yeah, it was strange because it felt like I was being rewarded for not thinking it through as well. So I made sure I had enough time to actually, turn out the car up first time
I don't
and
think you
took
actually
damage for it.
I don't think you take damage from the beam scene. I think you take damage from when the
Do.
car explodes.
No, you definitely take damage from the beam scene. I remember it well.
Hmm. I don't ever remember taking damage from the beams.
Yep.
Eh. In any case, I mean, it does make the fight go by 1,000 times quicker,
Yeah.
which is always nice, because that fight is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, suffice to say, even on Madhouse, I finished the game with an absolute surplus of supplies. Like, I barely used any chem fluid. I don't think I used any separation fluid.
That's ridiculous. But I would be surprised if you didn't do that.
It's just, it's all about evading the enemies instead of fighting them. It's easier than it sounds.
Yeah,
Some
it
of the boss
really
fights
is.
are really hard, though.
Well, I tried doing what I've been doing in my Resident Evil 1 remake playthrough, which is avoiding enemies that I can and then only fighting the enemies that I absolutely have to, or if they're in my way.
Yeah, that was a really, really good remake as well. I really enjoyed that game. Good part as well.
Definitely.
I really enjoyed the knife only one. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, the Marguerite boss fight was a pain in the ass on my ass. I'll say that much.
Oh God, yeah. Her fight was annoying regardless, but definitely made more annoying because of Madhouse.
Well, you're not actually selling the game to me.
Oh, don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant game.
They're basically saying Resident Evil 6 is the best one.
Oh my God, no.
No, no.
Do not say.
This guy's got jokes.
I actually enjoyed Resident Evil 6, but I know that Scott did not at all.
Everybody hates it. You
Oh,
say
I've
you like
wanted
it,
it.
but you
I
really
like
say
it.
no. You say you like it, but you really didn't.
Uh, I mean,
I've wanted it from all the reviews. Everyone says like, "Don't touch this game." So okay, fine. I'm not going near it.
I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, if you don't think about it as like a spoopy horror game, you know, if you're thinking about it as like a
No,
as
no,
like
it's just a bad
a
game.
silly like action game, it's fun.
No,
But if
it's not.
but no,
It's
huh?
Resident Evil. It's not supposed to be silly action. It's supposed to be
I
Resident
was
Evil.
Well, I
being,
mean that's
I
fair,
was being
but
generous
it
when I
is
awarded it a 5 out of 10.
genuinely pretty good as that.
I'm actually going to link my review in the Discord just because it's easier than me ranting about it for 20 minutes. Can have a look at that later.
Between Mark and I, we could probably take up a good couple of days with rants about certain things.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I
bad.
could
But
too.
one thing I wanted to mention as well, I played Resident Evil 7 in VR, which really enhanced the experience, except for the first fight against Marguerite, because all the time, and it's heavy.
Oh,
It's
that
heavy, man.
that fight was so freaking stupid. As much as the second fight with Marguerite's a little tricky, that first fight is the stupidest thing in the game,
The
easily.
worst part is, I tried it a few times, obviously, to get through it without being hurt too much. And when I finally did it, I beat her without sort of taking myself down from fine to caution. She fell down. I was like, right, okay, I need to get out of this hole now. And her body trapped me, like I couldn't move forward. And then then it started filling with that shit, and then it started taking damage from that. So I got injured after the fight was over, and I was absolutely not happy.
All that hard work put laid to waste.
Yeah,
Uh, but other than that, like I thought it was a great game in my opinion, especially considering the direction the series had been going for some time. And it was
well,
nice to see
I
them finally take it in a better direction.
as much as I stand by everything I said in my Resident Evil 6 review, I was very pleased to be proved wrong because I did say that whoever the director was at the time, I forget his name, he did say that with Resident Evil 6, they were trying to take it back to its survival horror roots. And
Oh,
I
he
said,
did.
you know, if this is what their idea of survival horror is, then the series is doomed, basically. And I'd like to say that I wrote that specifically to tempt them into proving me wrong because they clearly did very well. So I'm very proud of that.
It
It was
was
all you're doing, I'm sure.
yeah. Mark
Absolutely.
Mark's review of Resident Evil 6 got us Resident Evil 7. So anybody who's
It really
listening,
happened.
all one person, please thank him for Resident Evil 7.
For real though, I just want to be absolutely unequivocally clear here. Resident Evil 6 was a piece of shit.
No,
Yeah,
I never got through
I know, I
5.
tried it.
I just thought it was really just a slog. But and same with 6. Like neither of them interest me because I always felt Resident Evil was a solo experience, and forcing me to play with another person or an AI just kind of ruined it for me.
Having
I
said that,
like I like
I
five
don't
though.
think I liked it in general, yeah. But one of my actual favourite Resident Evil experiences throughout the entire series is the very first level of Outbreak when he's stuck in the bar. And that was obviously designed to be played with multiple players. I was stuck with it AI, unfortunately, because I didn't have my PS2 online. But I thought that was brilliant.
My my Resident Evil 2 playing out at 2 o'clock in the morning with the lights off for the first time. And when you get to the police station with the hands that come bursting through.
Oh
absolutely
yeah, I
scared the
remember that.
shit out of me.
Yeah,
I also
that was fucking creepy.
I really
My
like
my
as well that in Resident Evil 2 you can fight grab breakers outside the police station. I thought that was a brilliant touch.
my favorite experience was discovering that I could slide down the slide in Resident Evil 6,
Pretty
or
much
that you could ride
the
that
only
you
reason
could
to play
ride the amusement park like
I
equipment.
have no I have no dignified response to that.
it. Remember that awesome game with zombies? Yeah, now you can just play in the playground, and that's 1,000 times better than the rest of the game.
But I tell you what, just to bounce out of the lie, I will say one and precisely one good thing about Resident Evil 6. The mercenary mode was pretty decent. And that is an unfortunate thing about Resident Evil 7 is that all of the bonus modes that you usually unlock in Resident Evil games have been hacked out and sold as DLC, which I am not pleased about.
Yeah,
That-
I
That's
heard
probably
that
on the disc.
I heard that they did another one of the DLC pieces is a lot like the Happy Birthday sequence, and that was fucking disturbing. That was my favorite bit in the entire game,
Yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
and I wish that the whole game had been like that.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it as it was. I think maybe having a whole game like that would probably be a little bit too much like Saw, I guess. But I thought it was a great little aside in the main game.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
It was what the Saw video game should have been.
Yes, yes, thank you. I've played both of them. It's and I've only beaten the second one because the first one's impossible. But oh man, I really wish they had done them well because I had high hopes for it. It's an interesting concept and it does lend well to a video game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's probably a little less of the of ethical weight of some of the things you have to do in the games and the film. I don't give a shit about this guy. He's just an NPC. Doesn't exist. Of course, I'll carve through his torso to get a key. That kind of thing.
Like
Yeah.
the second Saw game was somewhat clever, but like it really didn't do it very well. Like the beginning of the game determines how the end of the game goes,
Yeah.
which
They
was
made a Saw game.
clever. What's that?
They made a game about Saw.
Yeah,
Didn't
they have
know
2 games.
Yeah, I think the first one had a trophy for standing still for
The
a
second one.
certain amount of time. I was at the second one. I've not actually played either of them, unfortunately, so it's just what I've heard, basically. Interesting series.
Yeah. Um, actually, now I'm thinking of there's a series of puzzle games called The Room, have no relation to Tommy Wiseau, and they're actually really, really good puzzle games, and I wish there were more games like them. They're very
Hmm.
like intricate, kind of Rube Goldberg styled games.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with them.
I would definitely look it up. I'll link it. I'll put the link into the video description as well as on our Discord group. But it's basically it's best played on iPad or Android or whatever, and you're trying to kind of like manipulate objects to solve puzzles. Maybe like you get a key, but you have to turn the pieces of the key so that it matches the hole that they're supposed to go to, and it could be used on like different spots. So it's not just a key for one area.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not very many puzzle games are all that good, but that's definitely one of them.
The only one that sort of comes to mind as an alternative is the Zero Escape series.
Yeah, and that's kind of more logic puzzles meets visual novel.
Yeah,
And
I've
it's
not
really
played the
freaking
latest one,
disturbing.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about somebody watching games instead of playing them. The Zero Escape series is the only, like, it's one of very few games that I've actually done that with. Like, I've just watched other people play, and I feel kind of bad about it because the story's really good. I don't know that I really care about the puzzle solving that much, but the story is really good. Um,
also some really kick-ass music in some places.
I thought the first game story was a little like it started out good, and then the actual like what's going on part was a little.
It
Eh.
was dumb, but it was also like really, I don't know, freaky and weird, and I don't know, I liked it. But I felt like I don't know as the games went on, like they got dumber and dumber, but they also got I don't know, they got more disturbing. I don't know. I liked it. It was great.
Danganronpa, that's one that I thought was pretty fucked up.
Hmm.
Even
Oh
that one,
shit.
its story reveal was kind of stupid in my opinion. I don't know if
I've
anybody's
just
seen that one
realised
or played that one.
now that I'll, now that I linked
I've seen
in
it.
now that I linked in the Discord earlier, it looks like the pictures I used for my Resident Evil 6 review were from those dark days where I used to host on Photobucket, and they have now
Oh,
vanished.
oh no.
God damn it!
Fucking photo bucket.
It's
I
a good
saw
SSR.
somebody using photo bucket unironically not too long ago.
Oh dear. So I don't know if I'll be able to replace those, but that's a massive pain in the ass. Well,
Just go back and play them again.
Yeah, just go play through Resident
no.
Evil 6 again. Heck, I'd play it with you.
Need to play it with you.
Yeah, EP will help you out.
I I actually wouldn't mind playing a game with him again just to get another video out of it.
You could do a live stream of it, since that's the thing now.
The thing the kids are all doing nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't live stream a lot, but I do enjoy it when I do. Recently I've only started live streaming the Jackbox party games because they're a hell of a laugh.
Oh, I love playing Jackbox games.
I'll give you a shout when I'm next hosting one if you like.
Hell yeah. Those are always funny. I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever
Actually,
played it and not enjoyed it myself.
it's hard not to, isn't it? I actually got all three of the party packs. Even I think they were a little bit overpriced in fairness,
Mm.
but I do have them. Um, we should probably wrap this up soon because we've been going for a very long time.
I'm almost finished with this one, so we'll definitely be wrapping up soon. What else? What else have we been doing?
Um, I've only really been playing Final Fantasy 15 and Tumble VR at the moment. So yeah, I'm finally starting to tick stuff off my backlog slowly but surely. Finished Nier recently. That was a really good game.
And I'm not surprised that you played it and enjoyed it, because it's
Honestly,
Samurais and Dark Souls all in one.
I am actually getting a bit sick of, Souls-like games. I could quite happily not see another one for years. I did think Neo was doing very well, and the actual sort of combat mechanics were fantastic.
Did you play Salt and Sanctuary yet?
Not yet.
Do you know about that one, right?
I do. The 2D black and whitey one.
Yeah, it's kind of a. It's from the people who made the dishwasher games.
I'm not familiar with them.
The what?
It's like this really dark, super edge gritty kind of game. And it's a samurai or an undead samurai or something weird like that. I've never really understood the plot, but they were decent games. They're like a 2D hack and slash with combos and stuff, and basically Salt and Sanctuary is those games but done Dark Soulsy.
Hmm. It's just you say dishwasher games, and I think somebody like put Doom on a dishwasher or something.
I won't be surprised.
Yeah, at this point.
But yeah, I mean, I do think sort of Souls influence has become a little bit tired now. And it does upset me a little bit that Dark Souls is always listed as the influencer despite Demon Souls coming first. There's not enough
Yeah,
love for Demon Souls, is what I'm saying.
I mean,
Demon
like a
Souls
lot of
was good.
games, like a lot. Even I would say Dark Souls actually takes a lot of cues from Resident Evil 4. Like a lot of the things that people credit to Dark Souls come from that game, or not necessarily come from that game, but they probably have a common inspiration.
Resident Evil
Um,
4 was an amazing game.
yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
to this day, it is still my number one example for showing how a game can change its formula so radically and still be incredibly good.
Mm.
I mean,
Like
I
in
liked it, but it
particular,
was, yeah, go ahead.
in particular, I'm talking about like the level design, the way that it tries to kind of draw you to places and then like surprise you. Um, like uh, a part where I was stuck getting hurt by an enemy. I couldn't understand what was going on. It turned out that I was like when I picked up this item, an enemy saw me through a window of a building. I didn't even know I could go inside, and he was shooting me from inside the building. And like that was just such a dark. Like I played Resident Evil 4 after playing Dark Souls. I hadn't played it before, and I was like, "That's amazing. That's just like something that would happen to me in Dark Souls, except that I'm not dead."
Yeah, you could take a couple of hits.
I tell you what though, I really miss the sort of hub world style feature of Demon Souls. Like I do get, I mean, Dark Souls did the whole sort of persistence open world thing really well, but I honestly got bored of it by Dark Souls 2, and I was sick of it by the time Bloodborne rolled around. And Dark Souls 3, I just got on board shitless of it.
Honestly,
The whole sort of open world versus linearity thing.
You bored of a game? Bloody hell, then they've done bad.
Honestly, I didn't enjoy Dark Souls 3 very much at all compared to the others. I guess I was just bored of it.
I mean,
Well,
I could understand. Like for some reason, I just didn't like Bloodborne. I liked Dark Souls, and I played Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3. I didn't get very far in either one before I just kind of started playing other games, but I did enjoy them. But like Bloodborne, I couldn't even enjoy it. I don't know why. It just
Unfortunately,
felt.
I am physically incapable of starting a game and not finishing it, so it leads to a lot of frustration with overly long games, and Dark Souls 3 was one of them.
Hmm.
Oh well.
Yeah, I was never partial to the Souls games. It's just kind of not my. I don't have the timing and reflex abilities for stuff like that.
I never played them.
That's why so many people who do.
And I always hated summoning people too because it felt like I was sort of giving up. Ooh, there's
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
can agree with that.
ambulances coming down my street. Sorry for the
Yeah,
noise.
it's like I always tried to beat bosses on my own because I wanted to prove to myself that I could.
Yeah.
But if you want to summon help, by all means go for it. I didn't like the attitude that people had of sort of if you summoned the boss, if you summoned help to beat a boss, then you didn't really beat the boss. There was a lot of elitist bullshit with Dark Souls that I didn't like at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how would they know?
Yeah, I actually remember having an argument with one guy who kept saying that summoning was technically cheating.
Well,
Well,
if it's a game mechanic, then what are they complaining about?
Well, that's my point. Was it's in the game. It's intended to be used. But like, no, you have to beat them on your own, or you're cheating.
It's like people kept saying that like Bayonetta is freaking impossible. I mean, it's impossible if you refuse to use healing items. Uh, it's not impossible actually, but like,
will you
um,
please stop issuing me like unintended challenges for the god? Like, I will do it.
Apparently
Bayonetta is
Bayonetta without
designed to
using
not
health.
designed to be really difficult, but not impossible or anything to do without healing items.
It's sort of, I think a lot of Platinum games are
But
like that.
yeah, and like it's sort of it's very much inspired by and created by some of the same people as the Devil May Cry games. So like it's and they're the same way. Like you're expected to challenge yourself and like using items will count against your score and stuff like that. But if you're just trying to complete the game, it's not really necessarily that hard a game, like Bayonetta or Bayonetta 2.
But yeah, Platinum have definitely given me some of my proudest Platinums because some of their games are really
Oh yeah.
difficult, namely Vanquish and Metal Gear Rising. Both of those were extremely difficult, and I was very pleased with.
Platinums by platinum.
I'm really happy with Platinum games. Like, their games tend to be a little bit on the short side, but I don't mind. They're such good experiences all the way through, rather than just padding things out.
The
I
only
don't.
one that I've played that I was particularly disappointed with was Anakin Reigns. I thought that should have been a lot better than it was.
A lot of people put this like emphasis on game length, and in some cases, yeah, I can see it being a valid complaint. But like when Resident Evil 7 came out, and people are like, oh, you can beat it in 10 hours. I'm like, you could beat the first game in under an hour. Shut up. It's not that it's not that big of a deal, you know. It's like it's Resident Evil. It's not going to be 20 fucking hours long.
I mean, I'm going to pull out the old-fashioned guy line and clarify that size doesn't matter.
But
What you do with it.
I'd say that's a pretty good wrap. Do we have any parting thoughts?
Yes, please watch the next episode. That's it.
Nintendo
Totally
suck.
Eagles.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place as any. Thanks everybody for coming in and doing this, and whomever's listening, thank you for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll be back for another episode with the boys from the guild. Have a great one.
Toodle pip.
And in summary, play Resident Evil 6.
We will pick this up next episode.
All right.
Challenge accepted.